fellow Guru listeners. Welcome back to Jane's Guru Gab. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy your stay. You may be asking yourselves, why the title Jane's Guru Gab? Fair question. Here's why I called my podcast this. 1, I have knowledge and expertise in leadership, management, medical imaging, and healthcare, so the title reflects my guru-ness. 2, no matter how much knowledge we have, we don't know everything. And at points in our lives, we seek out experts or gurus to help guide us, get advice from them, and help us gain knowledge. Lastly, even though my podcast as a whole will be about anything and everything, there will be an emphasis on bringing in gurus in specific industries to help leaders, managers, interested individuals, and the like learn about a variety of topics. I call this super fun, entertaining, informational, so hence Jane's Guru Gab. So today, we are talking insurance. Yes, I know. Not super sexy, but something that is very important to have, and when you don't have it, you could have a problem. The focus will be on commercial insurance and helping business leaders and managers understand what questions to ask, what types of coverage to look for or consider for a business, and the potential risk associated with not having appropriate coverage for your business. So, this episode is Insurance, Key Points You Need to Consider for Your Business. I have Mac Chavarria with me today. Mac is a commercial insurance broker with over 30 years of experience. Mac has expertise in many facets of commercial insurance, but his focus is in life sciences, manufacturing, and technology. Mac has served clients from California to Washington and currently practices in the Puget Sound area as a managing partner at Basin Insurance. Mac holds a bachelor's degree from San Francisco State University. Mac, welcome.
Thanks, Jane. Good to be here.
Okay, Mac. So first, basically we want to know, as managers and leaders of a business, what we need to know about insurance. So my first question to you is, what types of insurance should I have for my business? And does that vary between industries?
Well, Jane, it depends on what type of business you have. So to answer your last part of your question first, it depends on the business.
Okay.
So there's different types of coverages for different businesses, and more importantly, different exposures that the business presents itself with.
Okay. So what type of insurance in general should a business consider or know about that they need to look into, just in general?
Well, typically, a business should have a general liability policy, property insurance coverage for loss of income, coverage for auto liability, and coverage for workers' compensation.
Okay, great. That's very helpful. Thank you. It's a good place to start at least, and then you get expertise advice clearly moving forward depending on your industry.
Right.
Perfect. So another question. How do I know as a leader of a business, whether I'm leading the business or it's my own business, if I have adequate coverage? How do you know?
Well, you don't unless you have had a lot of experience in dealing with insurance for your particular business. So you have to rely upon the expertise of a professional insurance agent to help guide you with selecting the appropriate amounts of insurance and the appropriate types of insurance.
Okay, so to add to that question, is it a good idea to engage an outside party or broker to review what you currently have in your business?
I would say yes, it is a good idea, because again, remember that an insurance professional is still a human being and can make mistakes, and depending on their level of expertise will translate into how good a job they can do for you. So if you have a complex business operation, even more so, it is worthwhile to engage in an outside analysis from a competing broker or an insurance analyst.
Okay, terrific. Now, we all care about price because we want to keep costs down, but I'm sure when it comes to insurance, like a lot of things, it's not always about price. So what are other things to think about outside of a price point?
Well, in fact, I would turn that around. Price is the last thing to think about. Clearly, you have to be able to afford the insurance, but more importantly is having the appropriate amount of insurance. As I've said to many clients, you're not likely to remember how much money you saved by switching from one policy to another if you have a claim for which there is no coverage. So I always operate off of the principle of understanding what the business does, relating to the customer what their exposures are as I see them, and then discussing how we can insure against these types of losses. Ultimately, the limits of coverage must be determined by you, the business owner. And no insurance agent will give you a rock solid, definitive number as to how much insurance you should carry. However, many times, depending on what your business does, you will have guidelines as to how much insurance you carry based on the insurance requirements of contracts that you sign, such as a master service agreement or a lease or a purchase and sale agreement. Those will many times dictate how much insurance you should carry.
Oh, that's excellent thing to point out. I appreciate that because that comes in handy with most business owners.
In fact, I would add that businesses, I always counsel my clients that when they are about to enter into a signing of a new contract, prior to finalizing, they should send the part of the contract that details insurance requirements and indemnification clauses to me so that I can make a determination whether or not the insurance that is in place will respond and meet these requirements.
Very good. Thank you. So tell me a little bit about some of the risks if you don't have adequate insurance. What are some of the exposures that would have, the risk that the business would have?
Well, primarily the biggest exposure is, in the case of a claim being made against you, is having to pay for your own legal defense. In the event of some type of a property loss, having to indemnify yourself for your property loss. So for example, if you don't carry car insurance and your car is stolen or catches on fire, you're going to have to pay for a new car. So that would be the type of risk that you have. In addition to that, again, depending on the operation of the business, for example, if you have a board of directors, if you don't have directors and officers insurance, you expose your board members personally to any liabilities that could come as a result of claims being made against the entity. So I would say, in general, the biggest risk is that you'll have to self-insure.
Okay, so if I just want to tag back on that last line. So if a company doesn't have directors and officers insurance, then the board members could be personally liable for any wrongdoing?
That's correct.
Interesting.
And more importantly, again, the responsibility of paying for their legal defense falls upon them as opposed to relying on an insurance policy.
I see. That's very good to know. Thank you. So, Mac, I know you've been in the business a long time, but what are the 5 top questions you want your clients to ask or to be aware of?
Well, I think that the most important thing for a client is to understand their business operation so that they can effectively communicate that to their insurance agent, understand their policy so that they can engage in productive conversations about their coverage with their agent. So with regards to that, what is a standard practice in the business when you deliver a policy in your documentation via email or letter, you are always admonishing your client to read their policy carefully and thoroughly and contact you should they have any questions or concerns. So I always ask my clients to read the policy carefully. Now, sometimes that's difficult to do from the standpoint of understanding what you're reading, because an insurance policy is a legal contract that makes promises and assertions based on the understanding of the insurance company as to what your operation is. And as an insured, you're making assertions to the insurance company detailing what it is you do. So there could be terminology within the contract or insurance policy that you don't understand. So I recommend that an insured purchase an insurance terminology glossary. And in fact, many times, depending on the client, I will provide those at no charge to my client.
Nice.
Because I want them to understand what that is that they're reading. Thirdly, it is always important for an insured to document questions or concerns in writing. It's fine to have a phone conversation with your agent, but I would always recommend that after a conversation that the insured confirm their understanding of what has been told to them or what they've asked about via email or letter to their insurance agent, and using phrases like per our conversation, it is my understanding, is this correct? You always want to put the onus on the professional who's providing you with professional advice. And lastly, I think that the important thing to do is truly to understand what your business is about and to be forthright in detailing your operations. Many times, insureds will be very concerned about saying too much because they feel that that's going to increase their cost of their insurance or could result in a declination. Well, that could be true. But on the other hand, what's worse is if an insurance company can deny a claim based on misrepresentation. So those would be some of the things that I would strongly advise that an insured do or ask of their agent always.
Very helpful hints. Guru listeners, Mac is a very dedicated insurance agent, and I have definitely enjoyed this. I found it very informational and useful, and I hope you all have too. Mac, any closing remarks for the listeners?
I think that I would always urge customers to focus first on coverage and price secondarily. I think that's really the best advice I could give a client.
Wonderful. And Guru listeners, you can contact Mac at?
Well, you can reach me via email at mac@basinpacific.com, or feel free to give me a call at my office, area code 425-780-4446. Or you can reach me on my mobile number, 206-949-3311.
Excellent. Well, everyone, that's been our podcast for today. Thank you all for joining, and see you next time.